All right, we got the Shure SM7B. I'm very excited to be having this microphone. This is the box that it came in. I'm going to open it up and take a look at what is inside. All right, first thing is we've got the information from Shure. Open up the styrofoam here, and there is some Velcro to hold it in place if you need that, and this is the mic. Feels great in my hands. It's nice and heavy. It's solid. It's got really great construction. You can tell an expensive mic because I've only used lower end mics to this point, and there's just something about the way this feels in your hand. It's solid. It has a good weight to it. I don't know. I keep saying the same thing. I'm just saying it is a really good feeling mic, and most importantly, it sounds good. Which is pretty cool. But yeah, this is what it looks like, and it's got the pop filter on it, and very solid construction. It's pretty awesome. And then we also have this little plate in here. I don't know what this does. If you know, let me know in the comments. I can find out by reading. I just haven't yet. This is the other pop filter. It's a little bit bigger. I'm not as big a fan as this huge pop filter. I don't think I need it, but I'll hang on to it just in case. But yeah, there you go. Next up is the Scarlett 2i2 by Focusrite. This is the third generation 2-in, 2-out USB audio interface. And I am brand new to interfaces, but this was highly recommended to me. And I'm very excited about using this because it's inexpensive. Links are in the description for all of these. But it's inexpensive and it doesn't take up a whole lot of space. I mean, this thing is small. Look at how small this thing is just compared to my hands. I mean, this is an entire interface, everything that you need to make this happen. When I did this, I didn't want a huge, massive interface taking up a bunch of real estate on my desk. I wanted something that was slick, that was light, that would look cool sitting there. To be honest, I'm into aesthetics. What can I say? I want things to look good. And I felt like this looked really good, and so that's why I went with it. And plus, it got great reviews, and there was lots of different videos that I watched. But this is what it looks like, and you got the ends for the speakers if you want to hook up speakers to it, which is pretty cool. And then, you know, it's got the really clean inputs, the one input and the two input, and then you got the gain switches, and then of course you can do monitoring and volume. It's just really ready to go. It's pretty awesome. And you got the things to keep it on your desk, keep it from moving around. You also have the USB, and you got the USB cord that came with it. It's USB-C to USB 3. So if you actually have one of the newer Macs that only has USB-C, then you'll probably have to get an adapter that will go if you want to plug it straight into your computer with USB-C to USB-C. But it is USB-C to USB type, 2.0 or 3.0. It'll fit either one. So in my MacBook Pro 15-inch from 2015, it fits just fine. And yeah, that's the Focusrite. It's pretty exciting. This is the Cloud Lifter. Now, what this does, it's the mic activator. And so the Shure SM7B is notoriously quiet. And if you want to give it a little bit more clean gain, this will get you 25 extra dB of clean gain. And, you know, a lot of people recommended this to me and just told me this is probably something that I'm going to have to do. So I went ahead and got it as a part of my setup. So what you do is you actually plug this into the mic directly, and then from this to the Focusrite. So there's not really a whole lot to this. This is the information that you get with it, and then it's just this little thing. I don't know the technical term for it, other than it's a cloud lifter, and it's a mic activator, and it uses phantom power from the Focusrite 2i2. It does have a little thing on the bottom to stick it to the desk. I'm probably going to do that when I find a place to stick it, probably under the desk or in the back of the desk, just to make sure that it's out of sight. But yeah, that's the Cloud Lifter. Not a whole lot to it, but it's pretty important if you want to get good, clean sound at a higher volume from the Shure SM7B. These are the XLR cables that I got. They're just from Cable Masters, which I got on Amazon. This is a little product from Shure, which is an extender that goes on the microphone so that you can fit it on the studio arm. This is something about the Shure SM7B that you need, because otherwise it's going to be kind of crammed and you're going to have to really force it on, which you don't want to do. This is only $8. You can buy it on Amazon. I'll link to it in the description. And finally, we have the Rode PSA1. I'm really excited about this. I did a lot of research on arms. I did not want to go cheap, so I went ahead and bought a $100 arm, which is what this is. It was $99. I bought it from Sweetwater, and it's been an incredible buy so far. I'm very happy with it. It has a very clean design. It's very cool. In this unboxing, you're going to see what it looks like coming out of the box. One of the things about this particular arm that's a little bit interesting is it is actually spring loaded. And so when you open it, I've actually seen videos of people who have opened this studio mic arm and have just kind of blown everything up. Like it just pops open and blows out their monitors and things like that. I didn't have this experience after this unboxing that you're watching. I actually opened it very carefully and everything was fine. This is the clamp that keeps it on your desk. You just kind of stick that part under and then you tighten it up and it's ready to go. You can put it anywhere on your desk that you want. So this is the actual studio arm, and this is, you know, what's interesting is it looks really small when I unbox it here, but it's actually a lot longer and bigger than it looks. It is spring loaded, like I said, so I actually did this off camera just because I wanted to really focus on making sure that I opened that up very carefully. Wasn't as bad as everybody said, but I wanted to be very careful opening that. This is if you actually want to drill a hole in your desk and permanently mount it in your desk. You can use that little thing right there instead of the clamp. So there you have it. That is the Rode PSA1 Studio Arm. So if you recently bought a Shure SM7B and you're looking to figure out how do you connect it, how do you make it work, what are all the components that you need, or maybe if you're in the market for one and you're trying to figure out what do I even have to make this work, I'm gonna show you in this video. Because when you buy the Shure SM7B, this is what you get. You get the Shure SM7B. You don't get any connectors or anything. So I'm gonna show you every single thing you need, and I'm gonna let you hear it and judge for yourself if you think that my setup is good. All the links to what I'm showing you are gonna be down in the description below, so you can check them out for yourself. I love, love, love this mic, and I can't wait to show you how all of it connects together. So the first thing that you gotta consider is that the Shure SM7B requires what's called an arm, or a studio boom arm. I use the Rode PSA1. It's about $100, and it's an incredible arm. It's got a lot of capability. It holds the mic nice and steady, but it can move in any direction you want, and I mount it here to my desk very easily. When you're connecting the SM7B to your arm, you're gonna need this extender. It matches all the hardware of the SM7B, and it actually comes from Shure. This will all be linked down below. This little $8 piece, but basically it's just an extender that connects to the SM7B and then connects to your studio arm. So this is what it looks like on the SM7B, and then it just allows a little bit more room for the XLR cable to plug in. Speaking of XLR cables, you will need 2 XLR cables. I recommend 6 feet so that it can work all the way down the boom arm and connect into the cloud lifter, which I'll talk about here in just a second. I use cable matters for a couple of reasons. One, they're black. There's no silver on the connector, so it all matches the SM7B. It has a nice clean look once it's all connected. I'm gonna go ahead and connect the mic to the arm and let you see how that process works, and then we'll talk about what else you're gonna need. The best way to connect the SM7B to the studio arm is to connect the extender first and then connect the SM7B to the extender. I'll show you what I'm talking about. And then you can connect this without having to spin it all around. And once you get that where you want it, you can kind of position the mic how you want. And next you want to connect your XLR cable like that. So that's all connected there, and this is what it looks like on the end product. So the first XLR cable connects directly to the SM7B, runs along the track of the arm here, and it's specifically designed to hold the XLR cable in place. And then it connects to the cloud lifter. The cloud lifter is what's called a mic activator. And this gives your SM7B about 20 decibels more volume without clipping. Here's what this means. When your microphone is too high, when the volume's too high, you get clipping. That's where it gets so loud that it really can't handle it, and you start to get that kind of bzz sound that's very jarring when you're listening to it. It's too loud for what it can handle. What it does is it gives 20 dB extra, 20 decibels extra of clean gain. So you get the volume without the clipping. And this is just one of the things about this microphone. It's very quiet. And that's because it's really intended to be a studio microphone where it only picks up what's spoken directly into it. So when you use this microphone, this is why it's especially good for podcasting, you want to get right up on it and speak directly into it. And then it's going to pick up just your voice, and it's not going to pick up anything else in the room. This room that I'm sitting in is incredibly echoey, all right? Right now, what you're hearing me on is the Rode NTG, which I did a video about here. But the NTG is a great mic, but it tends to pick up a little bit of the echo in this room where the Shure SM7B just doesn't. But with that, you get a trade-off where you get a little bit more of a quiet mic, so the Cloud Lifter gives you a little bit more gain, and it's still super, super clean. So the final piece of this puzzle is the audio interface. This is what basically takes in the sound from the microphone and then transfers it to your computer. And what I recommend is the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, and it's this little box that sits on my desk right here. The XLR cable plugs into it from the Cloud Lifter. So again, we're going from the microphone to the Cloud Lifter, from the Cloud Lifter to the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. And then there's a USB cable that connects from this Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 to your computer. And then from there, you can run it however you want through GarageBand or whatever software you're using. So with all that, I want to put it all together and let you hear what the SM7B sounds like when it's all connected. Okay, so everything is hooked up, and this is what it sounds like. And you can see I can move this anywhere. If I move it further away, it's going to be harder for you to hear me, again, because it's a pretty quiet mic. So I put it right up on me, but I can easily move it away from me. I can move it back, I can move it down, I can move it up. There's just all kinds of things I can do with it in terms of its usability on the Rode PSA-1. But the mic itself, you can tell, even just switching from the audio that you were hearing from the Rode NTG, which again is a great mic, but switching from that to the Shure SM7B, it's just an incredible upgrade in sound. I mean, there's just really not a mic quite like this that I have found. So if you're in the market for it, I really think that this setup is one of the cheapest ways to go, even though it's a pretty expensive mic. These components that I put together are very high quality, but they won't break the bank. And you'll have a magnificent microphone that some of the top podcasters in the world use. If you currently use the Shure SM7B, or you're in the market for one and you're interested about its features, in this video, I'm going to show you how to use the frequency changing switches, which are found right here on the very back of the microphone, to change the bass roll-off and the presence boost. I'm going to demonstrate how each switch is made, and then I'll let you listen to every possible setting that is on there. So I now have this positioned where you can see the switches. This isn't the best for video because you can't see my pretty face, which I know you're disappointed about, but you can see the more important thing. So this is the way it comes standard, with just both of the lines completely flat. And I will say that if you're gonna do a lot with your audio post production, in other words, if you're going to mess with the EQ, then you can just leave them flat and you can do everything yourself. However, if you're like me, where basically whatever it turns into is what the audio sounds like, and if you like to kind of set and forget, which this mic does, then you might want to change these settings. Let's start with what we see on the left, which is this setting over here, and we're going to go ahead and engage the bass roll-off. Because these switches are somewhat recessed, you need a small screwdriver. I like this nifty set by Stanley. I'll link to it in the description. It comes in handy for a lot of things, not just your Shure SM7B, which, by the way, the SM7B and everything I use, including the lovely Rode PSA-1, the Shure extender, the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, are linked in the description. To adjust the bass roll-off, you just need a little flathead screwdriver like this, and we're just going to move it down so that it rolls the bass off. And I'll show you what that looks like. So there you can see that where we were, it was flat, and now it rolls off. And you can see here, as you're listening to me, right here in the moment, it went from both lines straight across to the bass rolled off. Now I'm going to show you the presence boost. I popped it up for the presence boost, and now you can see a little hump. So if you think about it, to remember this, the bass roll off, literally it falls down. It kind of is a line that goes like this. And the presence boost is like a little hump. It's like a little hernia, a little speed bump. And so the presence is now boosted as well as the bass being rolled off. Now I'm going to leave the presence boosted, and I'm going to take the bass roll off. So this is just the presence boosted with no bass roll off. So you can kind of see how my voice sounds with the presence boosted and the bass roll off. So this is just with the bass roll off engaged. This is bass roll off and the presence boost engaged. This is the presence boost without the bass roll off. And this is back to neither the bass roll off engaged or the presence boost. So that's how you use the frequency shaping switches on the very back of your SM7B. I want to help you decide between 3 different mics at 3 different price points. First, at the highest price point is the Shure SM7B. Then in the mid-range is the Rode NTG. Coming in at the cheapest is the Blue Yeti. Both the Blue Yeti and the Rode NTG are USB capable mics, which makes them pretty comparable to each other. The Shure SM7B is not a USB capable mic, so you have to have an interface to make it work. I want to show you exactly how each one of these sound with no treatment whatsoever added. Just recorded straight into GarageBand and played for you. I'm going to share my screen so you can see it all happening. We'll hear the Shure SM7B, then the Rode NTG, then the Blue Yeti. If you keep watching, you'll be able to decide which mic is best for what you're doing, whether it's podcasting or YouTube videos, or some other kind of media. And as always, there are links to all of these mics in the description below, so you can check them out for yourself and see which one is right for you. A little bit of history, I started out on the Blue Yeti a few years ago, and I loved it. I used it for YouTube videos, I used it for my first podcast. It's been a great mic. Then I leveled up to the Shure SM7B, and the reason why I did this is because I wanted a mic that was more professional quality and a better, more sophisticated setup so I could level up when I wanted to, because I was starting a new podcast and I wanted the best that the market had to offer. Now, recently for my YouTube videos, I wanted to switch away from the SM7B because I didn't want to have a mic in the shot every single time. And I didn't want to go back to the Blue Yeti because it was cumbersome in a boom mic situation. So that's when I bought the Rode NTG, which I use as a shotgun mic, but it also has a USB capability. So I wanted to test that out and show you how it works. So far, I've been extraordinarily happy with the Rode NTG. You can actually see my comparison between the Rode NTG and the Rode VideoMic Go in this video right here. And I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Which mic do you think sounds best, and which mic do you think is the best deal for the money? Be sure to give this video a like if you're enjoying it, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you want more reviews like this. So without any further delay, let's head over to GarageBand and hear how each one of these mics compare with each other. All right, I'm here in GarageBand and I'm setting up a brand new project so that you can see that I'm starting from scratch with a new project. And we're going to go audio. It's going to be the microphone, and I'm going to create. Okay, so we're in GarageBand with a brand new project. I'm going to label this first one the SM7B, and then I'm going to make a new track with duplicate settings, and I'm going to name this the NTG, and then I'm going to make a new track with duplicate settings, and I'm going to name this the Yeti. Okay, so now that I have these tracks set up, I need to go into preferences and I need to assign this mic. So let's test this out and see what it sounds like. So this is the Shure SM7B, and this mic really works the best when you're closest to it. This mic is designed to really have you right up on the very end of the mic. Some people I see have it down here, and you can still get decent sound, but you can hear that the volume just decreased quite a bit, and I've got to have this pretty hot to pick up my voice the way I want it to. So I like to have it really close. I also use the cloud lifter with it, which I talk about in my podcasting setup video, which helps increase the volume that this mic picks up without getting clipping, which happens when your gain is set too high for what the mic can do. So you can see here that right up on the mic, it's picking me up really well. One of the things that I love about the SM7B is it just doesn't pick up any room noise. The Yeti and the NTG are likely going to pick up a little bit of buzzing, a little bit of sounds around the room. The SM7B just doesn't. It's pretty amazing. So now that you've heard it, I want to switch to the Rode NTG. I have the Rode NTG, and I want to go into GarageBand, and I'm going to say use. Right now, we're picking up from the Rode NTG. I want to point out a couple things. As the settings stand right now, I have it on -20, and I also have it on 75. If you don't know what those numbers mean and what they do, you can check out my NTG versus Video Mic Go video, which is linked in other places in this video and also will be in the end screen. So I'm going to change these settings around just a little bit so we can see what this does. So I'm going to take it from 75 to 150. And then I'm going to actually remove altogether those things. I'm going to take it off of -20 and see what that does. Okay, so now there's no -20. It's completely taken off. And I am going to put it back on 75 without -20 and then 150 without -20. This mic as a USB mic is somewhat new to me, so I'm actually very interested to know what it's going to sound like coming through here. I'm going to bring it closer to my face and see if this improves the sound and what kind of sound is coming through this if you were to use this like you would the SM7B, where you're right up on it, you're talking directly into it. What does this sound like? And I want to go ahead and put -20 on, which is what I've done, right up on it to see if that affects the sound at all. The big thing to listen for is these settings can change, they can adjust. The thing to look for is the quality. How does it sound to you? Is it high quality? Does it sound crisp? How is it coming through on your end with all these different setting changes? And you know, what do you think? As a shotgun mic for YouTube videos, you're much further away. You're like 18, 19 inches away. So it's more like this, which I don't think the USB capability was meant to be like that, which is why I'm getting much closer to it for this video. So now we're going to switch to the Blue Yeti and see how it compares. And now we are using the Blue Yeti, and I'm going to go ahead and say use. We're going to go to the front here, and on this one, let's go ahead and get started recording. Now, the Blue Yeti is an excellent microphone, and you'll be able to hear that. It's coming through really loud. In a previous mic comparison video where I was just comparing the Blue Yeti to the SM7B, a lot of people criticized that it wasn't a fair comparison because I wasn't close enough to the Blue Yeti. The problem is the levels go way too high. So as I get closer, you can see that these levels, if you're right up on it, are starting to clip. So you either have to be a little bit further away or turn these settings way down, which again becomes not a straight one-to-one comparison. But I'll go ahead and do that because it was something that a lot of people pointed out. So I'm going to put this on -3, which is a pretty standard setting. And then I'm going to get a little bit closer to it so that you can hear the quality that can come from the Blue Yeti. And I'm trying not to talk loud because if I talk loudly, it's going to clip. So it's a little bit of a dance. I still think the Blue Yeti is not intended to be right up on it. It's mostly intended to be about 12 inches away because it's different than the SM7B. But that was something that came up in the last one, so I wanted to make sure that I addressed those criticisms. So there you have it. That's my comparison of the Shure SM7B, the Rode NTG, and the Blue Yeti. That's 3 mics, 3 different price points, and are really going to touch at different levels of expertise and needs. So I would love to hear in the comments which of these mics are you in the market for, and which one have you decided on based on this video and your other research. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Recently, I got a Shure SM7B, and I needed a studio arm to hold it in place and really be worthy of it. And what I landed on was the Rode PSA-1. And I'm gonna do an unboxing and a brief review of this arm. It's an amazing product. This is the clamp that goes onto your desk. It's very, very simple to use. You can tighten it just hand tight with your hands and it stays in place. You can move it to different parts of your desk if you want. It totally works in any configuration that you want. Then the arm just sits down in there and it holds it in place quite nicely. And you'll notice that I can move this arm anywhere I want and it just holds its position and just stays there. It's really remarkable how simple yet powerful this is. I mean, it has one job, which is hold the mic in place wherever I put it, and it just does that job. And it looks nice in the process. I like how it kind of shines a little bit. I just think this is a exemplary product from Rode, and it works with any mic. I mean, any XLR mic can work with this. Even a USB mic could work. Sometimes the XLR comes out of the track, but that doesn't really bother me. I just put it back like you saw there. The links are in the description for this. It's a great price point. It's about $100, well worth the investment. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.